My name is Ernest Lamothe. I'm a reporter for the Southland Journal.
And my name is Brad Huditz. I'm the owner-operator at Station 1 Smokehouse in Plainfield, Illinois.
Okay, Brett, thank you very much for joining us today.
Happy to be here.
Okay, can you talk to us a little bit about when you decided to start the restaurant and what made you decide to be a restaurant entrepreneur?
Yeah, well, you got to be a little bit crazy to be a restaurant entrepreneur in today's world, so I checked that box. So I've been in the restaurant business, going on about 20 years, I think. Started off in fine dining. I went to culinary school out in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I didn't know where I wanted to fall in, so I started in fine dining. Back then, we didn't have internet so strong, so I think it was, what was that book called? Zagat, maybe?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, so I circled the best places in Chicago, and I went for the number one spot, and at the time, that was a French 4-star restaurant called Le Nomade. I worked for that gentleman for about 6 years. Left Le Nomade, I was at a place called Spiaggia. Where else did I work? I was at the Ritz-Carlton in Chicago. I was at Blackbird in Chicago. Did a brief stint at Alinea, a place called Naha. So most of my background was in fine dining, but I ended up getting out of fine dining and got in the meat business. Wanted to open a butcher shop. I thought it was a fun, cool idea. For whatever reason, whenever I worked in these restaurants, I always fell into the meat area of the kitchen. So I'd be responsible for like all the butchery, sauce making, and cookery of meats. So I guess it's kind of always been my niche in the kitchen. But when I had the meat shop, that we had a smokehouse inside, and I wasn't doing barbecue back then. It was just any smoked meats. I had a old world European guy working for me that was a whiz with like smoked sausages, and we'd smoke anything we could. We do sausages, jerkies, snack sticks, chickens, ducks, turkeys, and I just line every counter of the meat shop with smoked meats. But it was at that time I think I really fell in love with smokers and smoking meats. But we ended up selling that meat market after about 5 years or so, and I had the itch to get back into the restaurant business. And at the time, I was totally honed in on smoked meats. I landed in Chicago with a company called Hog Salt Hospitality, and I ran a restaurant for them called Green Street Smoked Meats for 4 years, which was an awesome experience. It's an awesome restaurant, still very near and dear to my heart. Great people there.
Place, yes.
Yeah, hell yeah. So that was pretty much my playground to really hone in. And the whole time, I hate to admit this after the fact, but I knew that one day I wanted to branch back off on my own when the right opportunity came. Fast forward 4 years, I had an opportunity in Plainfield, where I'm from, and I was tired of commuting to the city. But the old fire station, the original fire station in Plainfield, became available for lease. And I walked in, fell in love with the space, and I knew it was the right spot for me. So I went all in and opened up Station 1. The concept there was always Texas barbecue. It was never like fire. Our decor and our theme, our logo even kind of plays into the firehouse, and that's just to pay respect to the history of the building. It's just paying some homage. But yeah.
And then can you talk about some of the featured items in your menu that you love and customers love?
I'd say our number one every single day is brisket, sliced brisket for us. And that's definitely my favorite thing to cook. I've eaten barbecue every day for the past, 8 years or so. So I don't enjoy that aspect of it as much, but cooking briskets for some reason, that's my jam. I love it. That never, ever gets old for me. So that's big. All of our meats, we're kind of counter service, it's called. So you walk up to the meat carver. He's got all of his meats right there. You can sample anything. You can see it. And everything's weighed on the scale. So you're paying price per pound essentially. And you can kind of build your tray and get as much as little of any item as anything. But some of my favorites, it's brisket, definitely. We do a pretty awesome pork belly that I like. Our ribs are great. Weekends, we do beef short ribs. What else are some of my favorites? Everything we do is from scratch, except the bread we bring in, just because I can't do that volume of bread in-house with limited space, nor do I want to. I'd rather focus in on what I'm good at, and that's cooking barbecue.
And how has the business adjusted the last year and a half because of COVID?
Man, it's been wild. COVID's thrown a lot of curveballs at us. I mean, we went from probably 95% dine-in and 5% was takeout carry out to go into 100% carry out. So that was a hell of a learning curve for us. We had to learn our system. Sometimes we turn on online ordering and we'd get hammered with over 100 orders in 30 minutes. And then everyone shows up at the same time, wants their food. So that was a tough learning curve. We had to work with our point of sale provider to figure out ways to kind of standardize ordering, so we only accept so many orders that we can execute well in a certain amount of time frame and get it out to the customer without having that many people show up and be pissed off. So that was a fun learning curve. From COVID though, that's also thrown a few other curveballs at us. We have to deal with a lot of the meat processing facilities which shut down, and then there's shortages of meat, which drove the cost way through the roof for us. I mean, I went from paying $3 a pound for prime brisket to paying almost $5.25 for prime brisket. So my price went way the hell up. And that was a tough one for me. I didn't want to raise pricing. I came from the perspective, I didn't want to scare customers off. But in turn, I needed to do what I had to do to keep our doors open. I think this past August is when I realized, like, shit, I need to do some price increasing. Usually August is our best month, and we were busy as hell. We had a great month, but on the books it looked terrible because we didn't make anything. But also COVID brought in the struggle. I don't know when and why or where it came from, but staffing has been terrible. And that's been a constant battle. Lucky for us, our core nucleus, our most important people in the operation, the people that are always there cooking the meats or running the bar, or the constant people, they've been good. They've been there. So our core group is strong and intact, but we've had struggles staffing, such as like cashiers or dishwashers, one-off positions. And not to say those positions aren't important. They all are. Everyone's equally important to me. That's how I run my operation. So I don't want to twist my words up on that and sound incorrect.
I understand that. And what advice do you have for other people who may just want to start their restaurant business too, and they were in your position years ago?
My first piece of advice would get in somewhere, make sure it's what you want to do. Come work for me. Well, if you want to learn it and if you're eager, I want you. But make sure it's something you really want to do. Right now, I think you're probably better off maybe starting off with a trailer or a food truck and working your way into a brick and mortar. But honestly, I'd probably sit idle right now until I saw prices come down. I would before I expanded again or branched back off. But you can't be afraid of hard work. What we do is not difficult. There's not many secrets to what we do, but it's hard to outwork us. For instance, like our smoker, it's 100% wood fed. I could have got one where I throw in a few logs of wood at night and set the temperature and go home and sleep all night and not have to worry about it. But I thought that was a cop out. And I also thought you produce better barbecue when you're there feeding the fire, managing the fire, watching the meats cook, and really babying them. So you can't be afraid of hard work and long hours. If you want to do it right.
Is there anything else you'd like to add that maybe I didn't ask?
Sure. No.
Yeah.
No, I think we're good, man.
Beautiful, Brad. Thank you very much for taking some of your time, and I can't wait to go there myself to taste some of that brisket.
Yeah, please do. Throw me an email when you're coming. I'd love to meet up with you.
Definitely will. You take care.
Make that part of the story. If you guys are writing a story or something, you got to come in and eat. You got to do your due diligence.
Yes, you're right. That's very true.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
All right, man. Well, pleasure to meet you.
You too.
Thanks much.
Okay. Bye.